I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. We are going through L11 classes. We are down to priest already. We're doing the class cards by ranking them from the 10th worst card to the first best card. In my personal opinion. And we are on priest, and priest got some interesting cards this time around. First card up for us for priest is going to be the Haunting Nightmare. Haunting Nightmare is a 3-mana 3/3 undead that says Death Rattle, haunt a card in your hand. When you play it, summon a 3/3 soldier. This is a 3/3 soldier, it's not even undead. And basically what this does is it allows you to have somewhere down the road when you play a card in your hand have a 3/3 jump out of nowhere. A 3/3 for 3 isn't worth stats anymore, that's basically vanilla stats. This Death Rattle isn't the greatest. Near mid-game and end-game, you can basically kind of like play this down and then like next turn get the 3 back. But it's kind of weird that the Haunted Soldier isn't a ghost, because it seems like this should be flip-flop, like the Haunted Soldier should be the first part and the Undead should be the second part. So it seems a little weird that it's flip-flopped, but I just don't see it as being good either. You know, like you're taking the spirit out of the soldier and you're putting it into a card, and then later down the road, the soldier, the spirit will come out. So next up for us is number 9. Number 9, unfortunately, I believe is going to be the legendary in this set. So the legendary in this set is a 6-mana 6/6 that says Battlecry, permanently add a Vision of Darkness to your hand. And what Vision of Darkness is it's down here. Is it's a 3-mana legendary spell that says discover a shadow spell. And when you discover a shadow spell, it puts Vision of Darkness back in your hand. So you always have this card in your hand and you can discover a shadow spell each and every turn. And as good as that is, the first time that you're playing it is on turn 7, maybe. So this is a turn 6 do nothing and a turn 7 maybe do something. And that's what really holds this back. Because this card, if you got this card in the beginning as your actual card, and this card didn't exist at all, this card would be broken. If this was the card that you got, which was Vision of Darkness, and that was just the card just in general, that they got and didn't get this creature at all, this card would be seen play. But the fact that you got to get all the way down to 6 before you get the card really holds back this card, and was why this card gets so low on the list. Just doesn't have the payoff till late in the game. Next up for us is going to be the other legendary, unfortunately. The other legendary here is the High Cultist. High Cultist is a 5-mana 3/5. That says Battlecry, resurrect all friendly undead that died after your last turn. And And the problem with this is that when you have a turn and you have the ability to have a whole bunch of undead die on the turn and then play this is kind of like you killed my board, now it's back. But there's going to be a time where that's not the boards you have. That the undead that die last turn aren't worth coming back. Or you just missed the part, or you drew this on a turn after nothing undead died. You have your whole undead die, and then you have another turn and you don't draw this, and you just play something, and then you draw this the next turn after that. And you're going to be like, man, if I had just drawn this one turn earlier. Okay. Next up for us is going to be stop it. There it goes. One second. It is going to be the Undying Allies. Undying Allies is after you play an undead this turn, give it reborn. Same basic problem as the legendary, that you need to be at a point where you have a lot of undead that are coming out on the same turn. The only reason that this is lower than, or higher I should say, depending on how you view it, than the actual legendary is because this is just a common card. You're not expecting a lot out of a common. And you do have times where you will have the ability to summon a lot of undeads, and you'll be able to slow this down. And a zero-cost spell has always seen some sort of play, even if it's for nothing else than just to be a generator of other spells. So that's why this card's a little bit higher. Next up for us is going to be the Animated Dead. Animated Dead is a 1-mana shadow spell that resurrects a friendly minion that costs 3 or less. Right now, in the collection, if we go to Priest and put in Undead, you have not a lot that's falling under 3. You've got 4 cards that fall under 3, which are, nothing that to write home about per se. Even if we go to what's coming out in this particular set, you're really not getting too much more undead. You're gaining 2 more undead. So right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the set that are 6 in the set that are under 3. And that's the problem with this particular card, is the niche that this falls into. Even if you're talking about every single card that costs 3, I mean, the undeads are the ones that you're looking for a lot of the stuff increase, that you're going to be having to run for some of the stuff. But even if you're talking even non-undeads, I mean, you've got some high rolls like Pelagus, sure, but you also got some low rolls. And you have to run some low stuff in your deck too. I mean, you can't just sit there and say all I'm going to run is the Radiant Elemental. I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to do that. To say, hey, I'll play a Radiant Elemental, and then as soon as my Radiant Elemental dies, this will bring it back. But if you're running some of the low-cost stuff, like if you're running, just for example, a Northshire Cleric, and you play that before the Radiant Elemental, because you're just like, man, I'm not finding this Radiant Elemental, you get back to Northshire Cleric, and, you know, the thing that you have to be kind of cautious about is this does help you with the Naga deck. Because this will help you with some of your low-cost Nagas, like your Queen's Guard and your Handmaiden. So, I mean, it's not the worst card in the world, but, you know, there's going to be times where you get something lower than 3, and it doesn't say you get to choose, or you get to discover. It just resurrects a friendly minion that died, that was fearless. Okay, next one up for us is going to be the Mind Eater. Mind Eater is a 2-mana, 3/2 undead that says add a copy of a card add a copy of a card in your opponent's deck to your hand. Priest likes to steal. Thief Priest is the thing that to anybody who's playing Thief Priest that can Treasure Priest Thief. It's basically right middle of the road for them. That's why it ended up basically almost right dab in the middle of the rankings. And next one up for us is going to be number 4. Which is Shadow Ward Undeath. Shadow Ward Undeath is a 5-mana, shadow spell that deals 2 damages to all enemies, and if a friendly undead died after your last turn, it deals 2 more. So it's basically either a Consecration or a Flame Strike. Again, the problem with that is how low the undead pool is right now. There's really not a ton of undead that you can get into the game. I mean, there's some stuff that you can get, and there's stuff that's coming out in this particular patch, and you can run some neutrals undeads. But to dedicate yourself to hoping that you get that undead just to get that other part of it is a long stretch. The thing is that even if you don't get the undead, Consecration for 1 more is the worst thing in the world. So next up for us is our number 3 slot. So we're into the bronze. Our number 3 slot for us is going to be Bonecaller, which is a 4-mana, 2/4 taunt that will resurrect a friendly undead that died this game. Because it has the caveat of undead, you can either use it as a boon to really kind of find an undead that you want to have come back and have this save and play little undeads, or you can just play this in an undead deck and just know that you're getting back a minion off of this. And 4 mana 2/4 is not the worst in the world. That's pretty much almost the best stats that you're hoping for on 4 for a taunter. mean, it's low. Like, you'd almost want this to be 6 at this point. But the fact that you're getting back an undead at this point, because if you're playing this without an undead, dying, I don't know why you're playing this. And that's the only caveat to this. If you have to have something undead die for this to have the kind of power that it needs. Otherwise, this is a really understated card. But if you want to go through caveats like that, you're gonna be able to reevaluate every single card that you ever look at. Because you can't just sit there and go, oh, you know, I'm never gonna have an undead. Yeah, there's gonna be times where you get this and you don't have an undead, but you need to have an undead not die every single point before you play this. So the next up for us is our Silver Star, which is the Cultist. The Cultist is a 1-mana 1/2 that says Battle Cry. If you're holding a Shadow spell, gain +1/+1. There are Shadow spells in Priest right now. You can even run basically a Shadow deck with Priest at this particular point. Because we still have Bishop in here, Bishop Benedictus, which is a starter game effect that makes it so that if you only have Shadow spells, you get Shadow form straight off the bat. He's still in the game. So they're adding some Shadow spells to this. I think every spell that they're adding this time around is Shadow. If you have any Shadow spell in your hand, this is a 1-mana for 2/3. That is, like, again, sorry, 2/3. So you're talking River Crocodile stats for 1 less mana. Let me just check and see. Is every spell Shadow? Yep, every single spell is Shadow. So there's a lot of things that you can draw off of this. And the one thing that you're basically going to be running in your deck is the #1 card in this particular set for Priest, which is Grave Digging. Grave Digging is a 4-mana Shadow spell that says draw 2 cards. The Grave Digging spell, if a friendly undead died after your last turn. So this is, again, Arcane Intellect that you can play for 1. At least I hope that this comes 1 if an undead dies, because the other way around makes this card even scarier if an undead dies. Because the other way around is that 2 shard cards that you draw cost 1 if an undead dies. So I really hope that's not what they're doing, and that this costs 1. I mean, Arcane Intellect, Priest need draw as badly as any other class. That they really need draw. They run the weirdest cost cards just to try to justify any kind of draw. And this is basically Arcane Intellect for 1 more mana on the worst turn. You have an undead die at all, and this is the best draw that you can get. 1 mana draw 2 is the best draw that you're getting. So, Priest got a lot of stuff that's good, but none of it is based off of the legendaries, unfortunately. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for